couple of steps in terms of how can we actually build a strategy supermodel to be able to help you understand your challenges and being able to create a remarkable solution as well. So today I'm going to be talking about the strategy supermodel called SWOT. And what we're going to be doing is taking the existing understanding of SWOT, which, if you're not familiar with the terms, is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, which I'll get into, and see how we can actually apply it to this volume model, this stratahedron, and see how we can actually use it to create this model that allows us to see, touch, and feel what our actual brand strategy can look like as well. So I'll be just getting into this very, very quickly, and I'll turn on the strategy cam. And what we want to be able to do is to see how can we actually understand what it is that the problem is. And in this case, we want to be able to take it, as I said, into what we call the SWOT. So the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'm going to show you what that is and how we can apply it. But first, I want to show you the exact model that we'll be using to kind of take us into that space and being able to translate those ideas specifically into a model that you can use as well, and a model that you can use again to reflect on the problem and find the best solutions for it as well. So what we're wanting to do is take let me just enlarge this, go back to the strategy cam, take this model, what we call the AMPS model, and build our framework around that, build our SWOT framework around that. And we've done a couple models here with the Ikigai model where we're able to take this two-dimensional flat model and translate it and transform it into a cool little model tool that we can actually see, touch, and feel and share as well. So the model that we're working with is called the AMPS model. And what that does is it allows us to see 4 specific components that are really needed in understanding what do we need with our business, what do we need with our brand strategy as well. So quickly we go through audience, how are you connecting and communicating, method, what is your internal structure to connect, P for process, what steps are critical to succeed, and S, story, what journey are you bringing your audience on as well. So if we look at this model and say, okay, well, how do we now apply something like the SWOT model to it, right? The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we can actually do that quite easily. What we want to be able to look at is how do we understand what those specific pieces are. And if you put a comment, SWOT, in the comments rather, I'll send you the free PDF where you can actually decide and use these as a questionnaire to be able to understand the SWOT model for your specific business as well. So we want to go through strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Quite simply, what are your strengths? What are your unique, advantageous capabilities? What are your weaknesses? Detrimental internal shortcomings, rather. What are the opportunities, favorable external possibilities? And then the threats are potential external dangers as well. And the way I've structured this is that you can actually ask specific questions as well that will help you through understanding, okay, what is this? What are the strengths of my business? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities and the threats as well? So on the outer edges, we have 3 specific questions that we can then understand. Okay, well, how do we dig down into this? If we want to find our strengths, we can look at what are our unique skills or expertise? What are our clients' valued service aspects? And what are the most successful consulting approaches as well? And you can use these questions to jot them down. Create this model as a blank piece of paper. And I'll show you how to do that as well coming up. But take the ideas here, and then we're going to translate it into the 3D volumetric model that allows us to touch and see and feel it. So with weaknesses, what are the 3 questions that are really important? Lacking skills or knowledge, areas for improvement, and operational constraints as well. So how do you answer those specific questions? Is really, really key here. And then with opportunities, the 3 core questions are emerging trends to adopt, unmet client needs, and potential new markets as well. So what are those? How can you identify those? What does it actually look like? And what do you need to be able to do to understand and see that? And then the last one is threats, right? What are the 3 questions that we need to ask ourselves? Well, emerging competitors, rather. emerging competitors, negative market shifts, what's happening with the market, and obsolescence risk as well. What's happening with what we're doing and how we're doing it as well. And we have some other variables here: clarity, certainty, and competency that we want to look at, and direction, impact, and speed. And you'll sort of see how those fit once we build those models as well. So if we take these ideas, right, we presented them in the model, into the SWOT structure of the AMPS model, and then we can basically print it out. It's a simple A4 sheet. And again, if you would like a copy of the SWOT model, please just put SWOT in the comments and I'll get that over to you as quickly as possible. So what do we do next? Well, through the magic of printing and all that good cutting and pasting and all that, we cut this out into the specific model, the triangular shaped model as well. And then we simply fold it up, and I'll show you how to do that quickly. And if you remember those good old days of making cutouts, we can kind of get back into that because it allows us to really ultimately see things in a different light and a different perspective as well. So we simply just fold it up, create the structure for it. And really what we want to do is to be able to elevate our business ideas. And in this case, the business idea of our SWOT analysis. Because as you know, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are really, really important to be able to understand, okay, what is the business doing? What's happening? What do we need to be aware of? And honestly, it's a pretty basic strategy, but it ultimately allows you to quickly reflect on what's important and what you can actually do right then and there. So some businesses rely just on a SWOT, and I'm not saying you can't or shouldn't, but if you want to start with a SWOT in terms of developing your brand strategy, developing your company strategy, your business strategy, then you can certainly start with that as well. So quite simple, we take the ideas of the SWOT, and now we've cut and folded it into the specific shape. And then with a little bit of glue or tape, we can actually tape up the corners as well. And if you can see, we talked about, the pinnacle of this as well, the competency, clarity, and certainty as well. So we want to be able to see what that looks like. Where is it that we're driving towards? And this is where your vision would come in, right? Where your mission would come in and that sort of thing. So understanding we want to solve the SWOT problems, the challenges, we want to be able to identify them. Let's see where they can take us. What's important with us along that journey? This is where we need to look at that additional level here, is the speed, impact, and direction as well. So we can see all these different pieces. We can see how they fit together. And then we're able to actually put them to the specific pieces as well, like that. And we can keep it on our desk, and I'll glue that in a little bit, but I want to move on to the next model. So where we've taken something very specific, the audience, method, process, and story, we've translated it into the specific strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that you can ask your business or ask of your brand or your audience, or whatever the case may be, in terms of how do you want to develop things. But then what I thought I would do is show you a specific example of okay, how do we actually use this in real life? And one of the big companies out there, Salesforce, we're probably all quite familiar with them and what they do in the sales sort of software as a service, being able to be a CRM and a client activator and that sort of thing as well. So I wanted to take a look at what can we actually use as a CRM, or rather as a SWOT analysis for a big company like Salesforce. So you can actually see how does this actually work and what can we do to put the pieces together as well. So this is, going through Salesforce's strategy and kind of trying to decide, okay, well, what's really important, or what are we seeing that's part of the Salesforce strategy that relates to a SWOT, as well as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or threats as well. And so I've gone through and created this specific model related just to Salesforce specifically. So again, you can use this just for your business, and ultimately that's what the customization of this is for, is how can you use it for your business specifically as well, with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what's a strength with Salesforce? Strong brand and reputation, customer relationship management, CRM expertise, and then the global presence as well, which is obviously very important. Very big global company. What's a weakness? Dependence on the CRM, right? They have one product. I mean, obviously there's multiple iterations of it and multiple levels of it, but ultimately it's one specific product as well. High pricing, that's a weakness. And integration challenges. How does a new company actually how are they able to integrate it quickly and easily without a lot of expenditure for that as well. So strengths, weaknesses, now opportunities. What are some of the opportunities that are present for Salesforce? Well, expansion into new markets, growth through strategic acquisitions, and then expansion of product offerings as well. And then finally, what are some of the threats for Salesforce that we see happening? Intense competition, right? The CRM area is very, very competitive. Uh, they have to be very, very aggressive to be able to maintain and grow the business as well. Data protection regulations, right? With the constant issues of who has your data, what are they doing with it, and how are they treating you as a result? They have to be very, very careful because they can be shut down now. And then economic downturns as well. So what's happening in the economy where businesses don't want to necessarily spend as much money? So what do they do with that? And how do they actually understand that? So putting this together as a SWOT can be very, very helpful because it allows you to see, the specifics, the specific problems, the challenges, and as we get into this, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats as well. Because with an understanding like this, we can then see, okay, what do we want to do? How do we want to actually apply it into our specific strategy as well? So again, we take the ideas, put them onto the AMPS model, and then translate that into the specific supermodel here that we have, the CODO model that I also call it as well, that allows us to be able to see, touch, and feel because we're creating a volume. We're creating a strategic tool that allows us to see what exactly this looks like and how the sides are that we interact with. So again, just want to quickly fold this up so we can show you. I can show you exactly how this works. So we printed it onto A4. We cut it out because we're great masters of the scissors and we're able to use the tools to be able to do that. And ultimately, we're kind of creating more of not just a tool here, but a vehicle that allows us to go specific places. If we can actually see what these places are and where we're headed, we can actually understand the problem and understand the challenges a lot better and a lot differently as well. So all we have to do is fold that up like that and then fold the edges in. And in this case, I am going to glue this so that you can see how it actually works as well. You can actually use thicker paper, whatever the case may be, to be able to do that. And there we have it. So we have the Salesforce strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as well. So now we can basically see, okay, well, what is it? What are the problems? What are the challenges? How do we actually integrate this into our strategy? And again, this is just a demo to show you, okay, this is how we can show you how it can be used. But ultimately, you want to be able to use it specifically for your own business. So you can, if you'd like to get the free PDF where you can actually scribble in your own strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if you just put SWOT in the comments, I will get that out to you. And I'm just going to quickly glue this together so that you can see, so it holds itself together. And again, tape or glue or whatever, doesn't really matter. That allows you to put the pieces together into the Salesforce model. And that's all we need to do. It's like that and like that and like that. And so then that becomes a new model that we can actually work with as well. So we've taken the ideas of the AMPS model and we've elevated it into a SWOT analysis. And then we've said specifically, hey, for something like Salesforce, what does that actually look like for them as well? And how can we create a model that we can see, touch, and feel as well, so that we can understand the challenge, we can see what we need to be able to do, and we can see the specifics of it. We can pass this on to our team, to our colleagues in our stand-ups, and we can say, we're working on this area right now, but we need to be planning for the next step as well. So it allows you to prioritize things. It allows you to see, okay, what are the interactions between, getting to our objective and understanding, okay, well, threats actually has a component that we need to consider with our opportunities. And we need to be able to see these interactions and we need to be able to understand, okay, what's really important here and how can we actually then leverage what's, our brand strategy, our brand identification towards solving our business challenges and being able to provide remarkable solutions to our customers as well. So All right, so thank you very much for watching the Strategy Supermodel show. So today I talked about the SWOT model, and I talked about it with a Salesforce, sort of looking at how we can actually apply it to an existing company with a Salesforce SWOT analysis as well. If you'd like a copy of the PDF, please just comment SWOT in the comments or message me or whatever the case may be, and I will get a copy to you as well. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time, and we will see you next time online.